My name is Steve Hinton. I'm the president of the Planes of Fame Museum here at Chino, California, and we're a nonprofit company. We're here at Chino. We have about 100 airplanes and displays. We're the first aviation museum west of the Rocky Mountains back in 1957. And in 1957, we were the first flying museum. We've got quite a collection of great airplanes. Our founder, Ed Maloney, started the collection back in the early 50s, and God bless him, he's still here with us and he's still very much into it. It's a labor of love for us all, and we've got a great volunteer force. We had 29,100 volunteer hours last year that keeps the Planes of Fame going. It's our goals, to preserve, protect, and restore and display, so that's what we're doing. Well, we operate a company called Fighter Rebuilders here at the museum. It's part of the museum display here. One of the things we do at Fighter Rebuilders is we work on aircraft, including race planes, and we've built several race planes over the years, including the Super Corsair that was a 1985 national champion. We built an airplane called Tsunami here. We completed the construction of it, I should say. It was an unlimited racer that raced from 86 through I think about 93, something like that. And we've been involved with air races prior to that and since then. My involvement personally is I fly as the pace plane and the safety plane during the unlimited races at Reno. Well, I started as a volunteer here at the Air Museum when I was 7 years old, started picking up Coke bottles. And since that time, the things that I've enjoyed in life have been airplanes, so I've been involved with the museum all the way through. And I graduated from high school, went to a two-year college, got my A&P license, got all my pilot licenses, worked my way up with the goal of becoming an airline pilot. Became an airline pilot in 1979 for Western Airlines for a couple of years, and I was furloughed because of the gas problem, the gas crunch that hit our country. And after that I realized that, really what I really wanted to do was be an airline pilot just so I could be out here at the museum and be a part of aviation. It was the only way I could afford to do it, I thought. So anyway, Jim Maloney and I decided that we would start up a company where we could start rebuilding airplanes for a living, and so we started doing that. Then got involved flying in motion pictures, and got into air racing. And I started racing. The first race I flew in was 1976. Then I became the Red Baron race pilot in 1978. Won Reno in '78 with it. Really haven't looked back since. We've been just busy doing the same kind of stuff for the last 30 years, but we're enjoying it. When Bob Hoover started stepping down, I had just kind of retired from racing, and the group asked me if I wanted to do it. I had a good understanding of the people who fly them and the airplanes themselves, so I slipped right into that job, and I really enjoy being a part of it. The last serious air racer I raced was Tsunami. Bob Hoover was still starting the races. We'd come down the chute and I'd have almost idle power when he'd let us go. Amongst our group we had already talked about and decided that we thought that a jet was the next step for Bob or for the pace plane to fly. T33 is a fabulous airplane. It's a straight wing airplane and has pretty high top speed, especially compared to the piston powered airplanes. I have to say though, some of the piston powered planes are approaching the speed of that T33. The good thing about a T33, it's got a great power response. When somebody's got a problem, I can push it up to full throttle and I can get across that course in a hurry, and I can be where I need to be. It's a straight wing plane. I can pull 4 or 5 Gs. Sometimes it gets slowed down. It's got the speed brakes on it. Sometimes do a barrel roll or something just to try to kill some energy when you're joining up on somebody, and it's actually a hell of a lot of fun. The fact that it is straight wing, I can descend and maintain my separation from them at approximately the same speed they use. So, some airplanes are faster or slower and you can't get to them, or you can't slow down, or you can't descend like they can descend. And the T33 is actually an amazing plane for that as far as I'm concerned. Well, being a safety pilot orbiting above, I'll start the race and then I pick up over the top of the airport and just start an orbit, and I can watch what's going on. I pick an altitude where I know the lead racer, the fastest guy, where he's going to peak out when he pulls up. If his engine quits, all those planes end up top of the airport at 130, 140 knots. For the main event, I'm about 7,000 feet above the airport, and that's for the gold, and for the bronze, I'm 5,000 feet above. There's 2 of us in the airplane, which is a really big benefit. You know, if you can imagine 9 or 10 airplanes out there racing around, and they're low to the ground. They're all different colors, and the sky is different colors, so they're hard to keep track of. That's why 2 people are really nice. But my job is to assist them if they need assistance. I can join up with them, and I can tell them of you know, their physical condition, and I could also remind them of their position around the airport. You know, sometimes you get busy in the cockpit, sometimes you can't see where you're going, sometimes you don't realize that you're smoking, sometimes you don't realize if your gear is up or down. So I was just part of the routine there, and I've been doing it now for, I can't even remember, 15, 17 years now, something like that. When I was racing at the time, you know, Bob Hoover was the mother hen over everybody, and Bob made some pretty remarkable suggestions to different people at certain times. You know, in the cockpit when you're racing, it's kind of hard to describe. You're keyed up, you know your airplane, but there are some situations that you can get in that no one's ever even experienced before. I mean, we brief every possibility we can think of in our briefings and our passing of knowledge back and forth to new guys, but there's once in a while there's something nobody's done before. I've been up there before and had to remind people to put the gear down. Not saying they wouldn't have put it down, but I see them in a position where the gear should be down now. I might just say something.
I didn't know it was on fire, which is probably a good thing, because I think had I known it on fire, I would have been a little nervous, and I wasn't really stressful at the time. Through the turn, the safety plane reminded me my wheels were up, which I was very much aware of, but I told them I didn't want to put them down just yet. And 3/4 of the way through the turn, I was still not sure I could make the turn with enough altitude, and so I was tippy-toeing around there trying to get it lined up, and I looked at the desert a couple times thinking I might have to put it in the desert, and the desert didn't look very smooth, and so I knew the outcome of that one, so I tried harder for the runway.
I know when I was racing, it was nice to know that someone was up there.
It's not over for John Penny. Your rear bear is an airplane that's hard to land when everything is going right. We don't like to hear any problems, especially mechanical, when something like this happens. So you can see he's up high, he's still moving. Steve Hinton is going up to get on his wing right now and help him get that bird on the ground.
I like to think I make a difference, but I also like to think, you know, that they could do without it too. I have to say that all the guys that race out there do a really, really great job.